A lot of people, including myself, had high hopes for ranked going into season 2 of Marvel Rivals, but I've played quite a bit of ranked so far and it has been pretty disappointing. So in this video, I wanted to talk about the issues with rank that we had going into season 2, some of the complaints that a lot of people in the community have had, what the update said was gonna happen, and what's actually going on. Now, speaking of the word actually, I know there's gonna be a lot of well actually guys in the comments trying to justify and explain the ways the rank system works, but calm down. Please do me a favor and watch through the entire video, and then we can have a friendly debate down in the comments below. So let's start out by going over some of the complaints that people have had with the rank system going into season 2. So the first big complaint that people have is that they're playing with bad people who don't deserve to be in their ranked. When you're in, even starting in like Platinum, Diamond, Grandmaster, people are like, oh, this person, how are you even in this ranked? How are you in this ranked? And you think that they got boosted or whatever it is, but the main issue there is when you're losing, they're holding you back. You are being punished for playing with people who are underperforming. And listen, just so you all know, I have not had many complaints about the ranked system until now, until we were kind of promised something that I don't see going on. But I do understand the frustration that people have, but in my opinion, we all have bad days, we all have bad games. When I play with people who are underperforming, I'm like, what is happening here? Are these people playing a brand new hero? What's going on? I'll go check their profile, and they were like, decently ranked, or they have, like I played with a Groot yesterday who was god-awful. It seemed like it was the first time they played the character. They had 20 plus hours on Groot and were just playing very, very badly. So I do think there's a lot of reasons why people don't play well, but going back to the complaint, people have this complaint because they're trying to rank up, but they're being held back by people who are not playing well. The next complaint that people have is, to kind of focus on that. People who play very well and they're being punished when they lose. I cannot tell you how many times I see people post in like the Marvel Rivals community over on Twitter, like, oh my God, look at this. I don't know what else I could do. That's the favorite line of these people. I don't know what else I could do. And they'll post their match history and they'll show their loss streak. But if you look at the scores, they're like going like 20-3, 30-5. They're like putting in the work, but they're being punished. So this kind of seems unfair, right? When you're playing with people and like you're just doing really, really well, or maybe you lose a close game, but you're still losing the exact amount of rank points as you would if you got completely blown out. So it seems like the system should kind of balance around that. Like if you get completely blown out, then yeah, maybe it's justified you lose, 20 plus points. But if you perform extremely well or it's a very close game, it would make sense for the game to maybe lose you like half that, like 10 points, maybe even 15. But that's not what has been going on leading up into season 2. The third complaint that people have is actually from the low ranked players. And this one, I think I understand more than anything. So you have to think about the complaints around people who have Smurf accounts, right? You have these people who are like, Celestial, Eternity, One Above All, making brand new accounts, and they're getting started off in bronze, right? Or even with this rank reset, the new rank reset is dropping people 9 divisions. So just to give some color to this conversation, me, for example, I finished the season at Diamond 1 and I dropped all the way down to Silver. Like if you have played through the ranks, like the gap there is insane. Like the gap between just even like gold and like Platinum or Diamond is pretty big. So you're dropping Diamond players all the way down to Silver. You're dropping Platinum players all the way down to Gold. This is a very big gap. So when you have people who actually deserve to be in bronze, who deserve to be in silver. These are people who are playing ranked, they want a different experience, they want a competitive experience, and they wanna get better. It is pretty impossible to get better when you're playing against people who are so much better than you, right? Like imagine I wanted to get better at basketball and anytime I went to go practice, I had to play against NBA players, right? Or even college players. Like that would be very, very frustrating and it wouldn't really get me better, right? Like the way you get better is by playing against people who are at the same level as you or just a little bit better than you. And that's the point of the rank system. So anyways, going back to all this, with the way the rank system has been designed, it would be ideal to take people who are, they don't deserve to be in their rank because they're actually really, really good at this game. It would help these low rank players by getting those people out of their rank even faster. So when you have these people who are dropping 40, 50 frags on the other team because they're actually Grandmaster Celestial players or whatever, it would help these low rank players by getting those people out even faster. Like, I won't fault NetEase for doing this massive ranked reset, but it would make sense to have a system that got those people out of the rank even faster. I think I mentioned it in one of my previous videos about ranked. Other games like Overwatch have placement matches, and that's what helps get rid of that problem. But since we don't have placement matches, it would make sense to reward people who are doing really well by getting them out of their rank. It solves the problem for multiple people. So when we got update news about season 2, I was really excited. I talked about it in my YouTube videos. I talked about it over on TikTok because the update made it sound like they were addressing all of these concerns and it was gonna be a lot better. So let's take a look at what the update actually said. And you can let me know down in the comments below if I'm reading this incorrectly. Before I hit record on this video, I'm like, you know what, let me reread it just in case I'm misinterpreting it. But I don't think I was. So it says, currently, the score you earn per competitive match is determined by both the outcome and your individual performance. So this is kind of a surprise. I remember watching another YouTube video about ranked, and they were saying, like, what is it determined by? Is it by the total match outcome or your individual performance? Because it has really seemed like it's determined by the outcome and not the individual performance. So it's a little bit strange to me hearing that it's already been kind of giving you scores based on your individual performance, because it really hasn't appeared that way. My buddies and I, we're always comparing how many points that we're getting at the end of each match and, trying to, figure out, what's actually going on. How's this algorithm working? So it's really weird to see that. It goes on to say, after season 2 launches, we will be increasing the weight of individual performances. The better you perform, the more points you will earn in victory, and the fewer points you will lose in defeat. So call me crazy, but when I'm reading that, it sounds to me like they are addressing all of the complaints that we just went over. So going into season 2, my main concern is, or it was, how are they going to, determine what it means when you, quote unquote, perform better, right? Because it almost sounds like you're incentivizing like DPS players or people who get a lot of frags. In my opinion, ideally, here's how the system would work. If you're a Vanguard, it is, about how much damage you're blocking, and maybe if you get a low amount of deaths, it's looking at that if you're playing the role of Vanguard. If you're a healer, similar thing, how much you're healing. Are you able to stay alive? That indicates that you're doing your job and maybe you're working well with another healer. For the Vanguards, it means that, you're up there tanking and you're not dying that much. And it also, it shows well on the healers or just your ability to survive, because that's what those roles are about, right? And maybe you toss in some objective stuff to kind of wait on the score as well. But then there's DPS, right? DPS, it's like your job is to frag out. Like if you don't get a high score, like if you don't get a lot of kills, then you're not really doing your job, Same thing, low deaths. So that was my concern going into this, but I'm like, you know what? NetEase probably hasn't figured out, we'll see. Well, yesterday was the first day since the start of the new season where I had some time to play ranked, and I just have to say, nothing makes sense. None of it looks like it's changed at all. So what the game was already doing in the past was, let's say you were like a gold player and you're playing with your low silver or high bronze friends, right? If you won, like you wouldn't get like a ton of points, right? But if you're a lower ranked player, like you're low silver or whatever, and you're playing with like your gold friends, you might get more points. The game was always doing that. It was already doing that. It was like, oh, you're playing with people above you. Here are some additional points. Well, now, like it's still doing that, but it's not doing anything we just went over and we thought it was gonna solve. Like yesterday, when I was playing in these ranked matches, I was performing pretty well. We went on like a 3 or 4 game winning streak. Like I said, it dropped me back down to silver. I ended up going back up to gold. And then we just started playing with, those people who are underperforming. I won't call them bad. I will just say they were underperforming. And even though we lost, like I did extremely well. I performed very, very well. Well, The update says, and the fewer points you will lose in defeat. Well, I was a healer and I dropped like 40K heals, and I had, I think my record was like 19-5 or 19-6, right? So like, objectively, that's performing pretty well for the loss that we had, especially when the rest of our, the teammates, the randoms that we're playing with didn't perform that well. I still lost the exact same amount of points. And during those matches that we won, like my friend who's on DPS and everything, like he wasn't getting like a ton of points either. So far, after playing like, a dozen or so ranked games yesterday, I've literally seen no changes, nothing that like stands out as something that is making this system better. So I do think that's an issue, and one of the reasons I'm making this video is I'm part of the official Marvel Rivals creator program. I'm hoping some of the devs see this and they really take this into consideration, because this is like the #1 complaint that I see from people is about the matchmaking system. So now, let me get back to the well actually, guys. Jesus, I posted this like in the Marvel Rivals community, and the mental backflips I see people doing, right? They don't ask to see the score. They don't ask to see, any of the match information. They just start throwing out theories, right? And they start trying to justify like, oh, well, here's probably why you didn't get the points, right? Like they're starting with the conclusion that the matchmaking system is fixed or it was improved, and then working backwards from there. That is not how logic and reasoning works, right? If you want to have a discussion, we can have a discussion, but you need to ask for some kind of information before then. But like, even still, because I had people like saying like, were you like on the objective? Like, were you doing like objective stuff? How many heals? It could be like how many heals you get and all these other things. And it's like, listen. The point is, if we go back to read the update, it's very simple. It clearly states, the better you perform, the more points you will earn in victory, and the fewer points you will lose in defeat. That is it. That is the end of the conversation right there. That one sentence is the end of the conversation. So if you're performing well, you're supposed to gain more points for wins and lose less points if you lose. And what I'm saying is, so far, that has not been happening. So I'd be really curious to see what their algorithm's doing, what it's looking at, and how we can find some kind of rhyme and reason for this. But even once we do crack that code and crack the mystery, all I'm saying is I still think that they need some adjustments. I still think that if you're performing well as a healer, a Vanguard, DPS, whatever, like I think that this system needs to be adjusted. There's no reason that I should be just healing the crap out of my team who is not performing well, and then I still lose 20 plus points, right? The system should look at that and be like, yo, this dude was putting in the work, we're not gonna punish him as bad, right? If I get a ton of frags, like if I'm a healer who gets not only a ton of heals, but I also get like more frags than our DPS, the game should look at it and be like, yo, that DPS player was terrible because you were doing a lot of healing and doing some of the lifting on the frags. So anyways, let me know your thoughts on this topic down below. How's ranked felt for you in season 2? What kind of changes do you think should be happening? And hey, all you well actually guys who wanna throw out your weird theories, or if you want some more information on some of the games that I played or anybody else has played, let me know down in the comments, but just don't be annoying. Let's have a rational conversation. All right, but anyways, that's all I got for this video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.